Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video.
I had an argument with my mom last week that didn't sit well with her. I knew she was annoyed that I refused to let her live with me, but I had my reasons. I could let her be a part of my life, but what I cannot allow is for her to be anywhere near my kid daughter. I know all too well the toxicity and emotional damage that my mom brings with her, and I want my daughter to grow up without being subjected to the kind of emotional abuse I went through in my childhood. So I told my mom that she's only allowed to visit when I'm with my kid and should stay away from her. I did what I had to in order to protect my kid, and in no way was I going to apologize for that. And I told my mom that straight to her face. So she was annoyed and angry with me, and in retaliation, she destroyed my house. She went over to my house a few days back and made an epic mess. The TV was broken, and the way its screen was smashed in was clear. She hit it with a strong object. Most of the cutlery that was kept in the display was smashed on the floor, and even the mirrors in my room and the washroom were all broken. But that wasn't the limit. She used some kind of colored liquid to destroy the carpet. One of the window panes had a large hole, clearly made by a ball or a rock, and the bookcase in my room was turned upside down. The bedside lamp had its bulbs missing, and the toys in my daughter's room were all broken. I still don't understand the point of turning the dinner table upside down when there was nothing on it that could break, but I guess she got carried away in her rage. Anyway, after completely destroying my house, she called me and said in a panicked voice that she was coming over to drop off something in the house, but found it completely destroyed. She also said that my dog was outside in his shed and attacked her, even though he knew who she was. Now she's at the hospital getting stitches and injections to avoid catching any disease. I asked her if she saw anyone, and she told me that it must have been my daughter, and I should have let her supervise my kid in order to prevent something exactly like this. At this, I told her she doesn't have to worry, I'll figure it out. I rushed over, and the first thing I did was check the CCTV footage. I'm so glad my mom didn't know about the camera I had installed in my daughter's room for security, because I'm sure she would have avoided going in there to be safe. But I saw her creating a ruckus in there and had no doubt she was responsible for the rest of it. Then I checked the footage from the door cam and saw her come in. While she was coming in, the dog came over to take a look at the intruder, but went back into his shed after seeing it's my mom. A few minutes after that, I could hear the dog barking continuously at the closed front door, and the moment my mom came outside, he attacked her. So he heard the crashes and knew she was the reason, so he attacked her. That was odd behavior because, as far as I knew, he should have tried to protect her. But I'm glad she paid with stitches for what she did. I called her back after viewing the CCTV Rex and told her that I know it was her and how pathetic it is of her to try and blame it on my daughter, just so she could vent out her frustration and try to enter our lives. I told her that she deserved what my dog did to her and that she's no longer welcome at my house. I asked her to wait for the bill I'll be sending her for the damages and advised her to pay up the entire thing. Otherwise, I'd have to file charges against her. At this, she got angry and said that I'm in no condition to file any charges because I'm the owner of the dog that attacked her, and she will file a lawsuit against me and my dog for rabid behavior and for being attacked by that animal. Her audacity to threaten me after what happened was mind boggling to me. I always thought that a narcissistic Karen like her, who refuses to believe that she's the problem, had some limits in life. But I was so wrong. She not only destroyed things worth thousands of dollars in my home, but also went as far as to threaten me with my dog just so I'd back off. Like, did she really believe she'll have her parade and be on her way without facing any consequences for her actions? I couldn't let her go this time. I called my lawyer and fixed a meeting. I showed him the CCTV recs and told him what my mom said to me. I wanted to know if there is any way by which she could get my dog arrested or worse, put down. So I talked to the lawyer before going to the cops, and he told me there's a slight chance that they'll see the attack as a clear sign of a rabid animal, but it's below 10%. And if I decide to fight, he could win the case. That's all I needed to hear, and I decided to risk it. I went to the cops and filed a report against her for invading private property and destroying my home. I showed them the recordings as proof and then showed them the house, which I had conveniently left, as it was just for this very reason. They have my mom in custody now, and she's currently being processed. Her hearing would begin soon, but as close as it gets, I feel like none of this would have happened if only I had allowed her to see her grandkid whenever she wanted. Am I the a hole here that caused all this mess, or is my mom the a hole who deserves what's happening to her? A lot of you were asking me where my daughter was at the time of the incident, and I didn't think it was important to share that information online. But just to clear things up, after school, her dad picks her up and she stays with him until I pick her up while going back home from work. I'm a divorced mother, and that's the only way we could manage to let her spend time with both of us. Of course, my mom doesn't know the full details because I didn't want her to go and pick up my daughter after school. My mother thinks that I've given the preschool instructions to only let my daughter leave with the babysitter who drops her at home in the evening when it's time for me to come home. I prefer to lie, and only people who have toxic families can understand that. Also, my mom called me and asked me to withdraw the charges I've pressed against her because she's sorry and she got carried away in her anger. She talked to me very lovingly, like every word was dripping with motherly love. I wasn't going to fall for it, though, and I told her that what she did was the last straw. Now she can pay for her actions, and I am not backing away this time. The second hearing for my mother's case was yesterday, and my lawyer told me that things are very much in our favor. The evidence against her was too strong, and she barely had any defense. She was trying to portray that her actions were provoked by me, but the cross questioning made a joke out of her. I'm sure on the next day we'd have the final decision. Also, my mom didn't back away and went ahead with filing charges against my dog. Some people from animal control tried to take him away, but a lawyer suggested by my current lawyer was able to get my dog back. Apparently, they can't take him away unless he's declared as dangerous. It didn't take much for the judge for that case to see the charges were nothing but BS, and he dismissed the case after my dog displayed exceptional trained behavior. I'm sure Mom was pissing herself after losing that case. I can't blame her for that. Her only hope here was to hurt me somehow, and she lost there. So now she's a criminal, fighting charges that she definitely end up losing, is looking at least a few years in prison, and a big fine for the damages. If I was in her place, I'd be pissing myself too. What a mess, and all because she didn't think twice before venting out her anger on my house and using a kid as a scapegoat. Honestly, that's the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. The judge gave his final ruling today, and my mom was sentenced to 14 months in prison, anger management sessions with a doctor appointed by the law, a fine of $75,000, along with a full compensation to me for the damages to my property. I was also able to get a restraining order against her, and she isn't allowed to come anywhere near my daughter or me. I hope she spends 14 months regretting that day she decided to take out her anger on me by violent means. I was able to finally get the whole house fixed and replace the broken items. It cost a fortune, but this gave me a chance to get it renovated. My ex-husband was kind enough to pitch in for my daughter's room, and I gladly accepted his help. I also made sure to tell my daughter that she is not to go anywhere near Grandma, and if she sees her, she has to call me or her father immediately. Those are all things that may make me seem overly cautious, but I'd rather be labeled that than to later suffer for not taking precautions. Oh, yeah, the school now has a picture of my mom that says she's not allowed on the school grounds, and that does make me breathe easy when I'm at work. I know my mom will be in prison for more than a year, but I don't trust anyone when it comes to safety. NTA, not the a hole. I wouldn't even call your mom human after she threatened to get your dog seized. She definitely had it all coming, and good on you for sticking to it and not accepting her apology. NTA, honestly, cut your mom off entirely and let her rot. If she is anything like my mother, who also emotionally abused me, then you're doing the right thing by keeping her away from your daughter. And the fact that she's trying to force herself on you all only goes on to prove my point. Since my sister in law, Alice, 36, married my younger brother, 35, we have done a gift exchange where all the adults buy a gift for someone else. I suppose like a secret Santa. But there is always a theme to it. Alice has always arranged this. In 2020, it was something knitted, so most people exchanged jumpers or hats. Last year, it was something handmade, and I had Alice as the person I was buying for. Alice is notoriously difficult to buy for. She's picky and ungrateful for whatever it is she is given. My sister, 35, had Alice in 2020 and bought her a gift card so Alice could pick what she wanted, as she knew nothing she bought Alice would be good enough. Yet Alice still found issue with it, calling it a cop out and complaining that she couldn't find anything she liked. I know that Alice likes homemade jams, especially as she bakes a lot. Whenever there is a local craft fair on, she goes specifically to buy homemade jams. Now, I am not very good at anything kitchen related. I mean, I can cook to feed my family, but it's all pretty basic. My sister in law, Ellie, 31, previously married to my husband's brother, not related to Alice by marriage, is very good at kitchen things. She makes her own jams and conserves. It's something she enjoys, and she has been known to sell them in the past. She makes far more than she uses and now gifts them to people rather than sell them. My father in law grows a lot of fruit and vegetables, which he mostly gives to Ellie. We receive some as well. He enjoys gardening but isn't particularly interested in eating the fruit and vegetables. I mentioned to Ellie that I had Alice for Christmas and asked if she could help me make some jams. Ellie said that she was happy to give me a variety of jams and gave me 8 jars of different flavors for Alice. In exchange, I helped Ellie out with a DIY project. I packaged them up nicely in a gift basket for Alice. The issue is that now, 9 months later, Alice has asked for the recipe for one of the jars that I gave her for Christmas. I told her that I would have to ask Ellie for the recipe as she had made them, but that I was certain that it was one of her family recipes, so she wouldn't part with it. Alice completely blew up at me, accusing me of ruining the family gift exchange, of not caring about her or the family by going against the rules. I honestly didn't think I did anything wrong. She specified handmade, not that we made them. Alice has now been trying to get my brother, sister, and parents to not include me in the gift exchange this year because I don't play by the rules. My brother has already agreed to exclude me. Am I the a hole for not making the homemade gift myself? NTA, it sounds like Alice is on a power trip. Already, she's berated two family members for their gift choices when, in fact, they were perfectly valid gifts. You, in particular, did give her a homemade gift, just not made in your home. I discuss what happened with family and opt out of this foolishness. Themed gifts are supposed to be fun, not about adherence to someone else's ideas of what is proper. Moving forward, just give people what you choose to give them and remind Alice that it's the thought that counts. Alice sounds like a complete nightmare. She received a handmade gift, and in exchange, you even provided DIY services to your sister in law. I honestly think it's time for the rest of the family to tell control freak Alice, who is also a bit of a bully, who excludes a family member for not meeting her made up standards, to end this nonsense once and for all. Sounds like your brother probably has a miserable existence. NTA. I, 38 female, and my partner, 36 female, have been together for 2 years and have lived together for 1 year. We share the bills, 50-50 mostly, and have similar incomes, mine being a bit more than hers. I help her out with her part of the bills fairly frequently and cover the cost of food and recreation almost entirely, and have since started dating. I'm happy with how this has worked and feel comfortable with it. Even though we bring in similar amounts of money, we have vastly different time requirements for our jobs. I am retired from the military and receive pension, disability pay from that, and supplement my income by doing freelance design work, about 20 hours a week on average. Her job has her working closer to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. She does about half of that at the office and then spends all her time at home working admin stuff on her computer. Even on her days off, she spends most of the day working for her job. This is where the conflict comes in, and I might be the AH. Because she's always working and I don't, I have become the one who does all the housework. I do all the cooking, cleaning, laundry, pet care, yard work, etc. We never had a discussion about that being how we share the household stuff. Slowly, over time, it just became the norm. She often complains that the house could be cleaner and I could be doing more throughout the day. We recently had an argument about it because I've gotten fed up with it. She was complaining to me that I should be doing more, there's so much to be done around the house, I shouldn't just be sitting around, etc. This is the morning after I worked a 6-hour design job, then still cooked us dinner, walked the dogs, cleaned up the kitchen, and baked her cookies. My response was that I support the fact that her job is her priority, but that doesn't mean she gets to tell me I'm not doing everything she thinks I should with my day because she's jealous of my schedule. I'm not her maid. I spent 20 years working every second of every day to earn the privilege of sitting around sometimes and sleeping in when I feel like it. And if she wants more done around the house on top of all that, I already do, then she needs to do it. Now she's upset and is telling me I don't care about her or support her. I'm not super happy that all the housework has become my responsibility, but I've been doing it because it needs to be done and I technically have the time. What bothers me most is that she complains that there is so much that I'm not doing and yet doesn't do anything to help. I might feel differently if she was the sole income earner, but she isn't. AITA for not wanting to do all the unpaid work just because I have more free time in my schedule, and telling her the exception that I do makes me feel like I'm her maid. NTA. Revisit the financial expectations as well as the division of housework. If it's possible, then agree to go 50-50 on a housekeeper. If she agrees, fine. However, the problem might not be a dirty house or lack of a housekeeper, it might be one of compatibility. NTA. If she's working 72 hours a week, hopefully she's making enough to hire a part time house cleaner, especially if you split the cost. Just having someone come a few hours every other week will make a huge difference. That said, if you're working 20 hours a week and she's working 70 plus, I think it's appropriate that you're doing the bulk of the daily tasks like cooking and laundry. But like others here, I am uncomfortable with the gradual creep of her expectations on you. It really sounds like you need a reset and heart to heart about who's responsible for what and what you can outsource. NTA from the post and comments. You do a lot, and the house is at a clean standard for the average person. Her standards are higher, and it's not on you to sacrifice your entire life to her standards. But she also sounds burned out and unhappy. Can you address that with her? Have a nice dinner and tell her that you love her and care about her, and it seems to you that she's unhappy. Ask her if it's true. Sit and listen to her answer. If it's about the cleaning, that is fixable. You have a non cluttered house with pets and no kids, so house cleaning will help. Most cleaners prefer to scrub surfaces, not sort clutter, so cleaning pet hair is right up their alley. But maybe it's about her time. Even if you love your work, it's got to be hard to be working 12 hours a day while your partner isn't. It's not fair that she'd expect to work as much to make her happy, but if she's burnt out, it might be hard to see that. So sit with her and try to find out what's really bothering her. And it's very possible she doesn't really know. But tell her you love her and you want both of you to be happy and comfortable in your shared home. Brainstorm how to make that happen. Cleaners, one room that is entirely pristine, weekly joint cleaning projects, her working fewer hours, etc., etc.